Hi, it's Alicia, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my third entry for the Make Thrift Try challenge. So this challenge is made by Annika Victoria, a sewing YouTuber, and what she does is that she puts up different themes and her subscribers vote for them, and the one that gets the most amount of votes is the theme picked, and then her subscribers can make anything that's based on that theme, and this time's theme was either gingham or mesh, and I choose to do gingham. So this DIY did not come out as I expected at all. I actually had to change my design 3 times and it was such a struggle. So I guess I'll kind of walk you guys through the struggles I had and sort of explain what I did. And if you only want to see the final product that I came up with, you can skip up to this time sequence. So for my first design, I had this idea since I picked my fabric at the thrift store. And it was to make a straight neckline button-up front with long sleeve. And the detail that I absolutely wanted to be included in the design was to have box pleats at the bottom. I wasn't sure how I was going to construct it yet, so I started by making 3 rectangles, 1 for the back and 2 for the front. And I knew I also wanted a button placket, so I also made one by adding interfacing, folding the fabric in and sewing it down. And for the front, I made 2-inch box pleats, and using gingham fabric made this process really easy because I could just follow the number of squares to make the pleats all even. And for the back, I made 3-inch pleats so that I won't puff out as much. I also sewed down all of the pleats and was honestly such a hassle to seam rip after because I will be deconstructing all of this after, you'll see. So after sewing the front and back pieces together, I started getting unsure of how to continue with this design because the upper part of the front was way too big compared to the waist where all the pleats were. So I decided to pin down the pleats at the top as well and then continued with the design, so I made the waistband. And at this point I realized I didn't have enough fabric to make long sleeve, so I decided to do short sleeves instead. So I put the fabric onto a shirt I already owned and started tracing some sleeves out. And I also wanted to make a little bow at the sleeve, so I elongated one of the tips. And the sleeves were a complete fail. I couldn't even make them pass over my shoulder, and the little bow that I tried to make looked really flimsy and was really hard to hem. So I just decided to scrap the sleeves. And this is where I decided to do my second design, where I would make just a peplum crop top with some straps. So I cut a lower back to make some space for my arms. And then I seam ripped all of the waistband off and also all of the bottom pleats that were sewn. And this took so much time. I was up till like 3 AM seam ripping everything. So the next day I remade the pleats but just a little higher and sewed all around the top to give this peplum effect. And to hem the edge, I used a ribbon to use as bias tape because I saw this on a top before and thought it was really cute, so I decided to incorporate it. And next I finally sewed on all of the buttonholes and also hand sewed the buttons to finish up the button placket. And this button placket was probably the only thing that I actually kept for my final design. And to make the straps, I used the waistband and some of the remaining fabric that I had, and I just folded them into 4s to make some long strips of fabric. And I sewed the straps onto the top where I wanted them to be, and then they could be used as the self-tie ribbon straps. And then I was finally done, but when I tried it on, I did not like it at all. I do feel it was cute, but it's not really something that I would wear anymore, and I feel that if I kept it, I just wouldn't get any use out of it, so I decided I had to think of another thing to make with this fabric. And by the time I finished this crop top, it was about 2 AM, so I gave myself a little break the next day. And while I was at work the next day, I kept thinking about it, kept bothering me. Like I just had to change it. So once I came back home, I started seam ripping all of the shirt, which took me again till about 3 AM to finish seam ripping everything. And for my third and final design, I decided to make a straight neckline crop top. So let's get started with the final tutorial. I traced the front part on a shirt I already owned and started tracing the armhole and where this side should end. I cut it out and placed it onto the other front side and marked it. Cut it out using pinking shears to prevent the fabric from fraying. Using the sleeves I previously cut, I am tracing the new sleeve by following the shirt. And I added added some extra fabric for the shoulder. Again, by using the same top, I traced the shoulder seam and the rest of the armhole. Place it right sides together and sew it down. I made sure that the gingham pattern was well aligned so it doesn't show that a piece was added. And here's the front piece, already looking better than before. So the back part is where it gets tricky. I was very limited on fabric at this point, so I had to sew multiple fabric pieces together to make the back piece. After carefully aligning and sewing the pieces together, here was the back. Place the front side on top of the back side and cut it out so that the sides and armholes are the same size. And here's the inside of the back with all the pieces stitched together. Sew the shoulder seam to start assembling the top. Now that I could try on the top, I decided I wanted the back neckline to be curved. Since each sleeve had two pieces, I sewed them right sides together, and again doing my best to align the pattern so the stitch mark doesn't show. Pin the sleeve evenly all around the armhole and sew it down. Next, sew the side seams. When you arrive at the tip of the armhole, lower your needle, bring the pressure foot up, rotate the fabric, lower the pressure foot, and continue sewing. I am making a dart to cinch in the waist. Try the top on and pin the fabric so it hugs your body well, and sew the triangle down. At the end of the dart, leave enough thread to make a couple of knots to secure it. And here's the completed darts. Next, I remade the waistband by seam ripping the straps from earlier and attaching them back. Pin it with the interfacing side on the right side of the top and sew it at the edge. Turn the fabric to the right side, fold the edge once, and fold the waistband in half to hide all the raw edges. And then sew on the edge one last time. Because I undid the hem, the top was a bit longer, so I added one more buttonhole and hand sewed one last button. Hem the edges of the sleeves by folding them in twice and making the folds as skinny as possible. Pin it down and sew it. The last step is to hem the neckline. To do this, I used the remaining of the straps from earlier to use as bias tape. Where the neckline bends at a 90-degree angle, sew the ends at a little V shape like this. And when you fold it back, you create a 90-degree angle. Pin the bias tape all around the neckline and top stitch the bias tape. And then we're done. Here's how the final design turned out. Wow, that was such a roller coaster. But honestly, I think that's just the reality of sewing. Not everything comes out the way you expect it to, and you just have to kind of adjust accordingly. And I'm actually pretty proud of how the final design came out. It actually resembles more my first design and is something that I would actually wear, so I'm pretty happy about that. And if you want to support my Make Thrift Try entry, you can go ahead and head on to my Instagram and give my Make Thrift Try post a like, and hopefully Annika will get to see it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye!